Hi everybody. Today I'm going to do a video on how to add side seam pockets to a pattern that doesn't have them. First of all, you need to draft your pocket pattern, and a couple of things to take into account. This is a pretty basic pocket shape. Here's another one off another pattern. It's a little bit smaller. What you need to do is you could really make this pretty much any shape you want. This pocket is going into a pair of pants where the child likes to carry toys and stuff, so I've made it a little bit bigger and deeper so the toys can stay in the pocket, that kind of thing. So whatever shape this is really up to you, this curved part. What you need to do on the top here, and then it's just cut straight across because this is actually going to go into the waistband of the pants, so we won't see this top part at all. So that's just a straight across part. This measurement, we want to make two circles right here, and the circles are going to represent how far, how much room you need to get your hand in and out of the pocket. Okay, I don't know if you can see them good. There we go. See the two circles? Okay, now what I've done is I've drawn the first one 1.5 inches down from the top right here. Now what's going to happen is about 1/4 inch of this is going to go into the waistband seam, so you won't see that at all. So you're looking at about 1.25 inches down from the bottom of the waistband, from wherever your elastic's going to end at, not the top, the bottom. So we're not taking into account how wide your elastic is. We're not even going to worry about that. We're only taking from the bottom of the waistband to where the opening is going to be for your pocket. So if you want to change that and you want your pockets down or closer to the waistband or whatever, feel free to change this measurement. Just remember that you don't want it too close and that you're going to have 1/4 inch right here, or even 3/8 to put into the waistband. Okay, so you don't want it up at this edge. There's some room there. So I figure 1.5 inches it works good, so it's pretty standard. Okay, now my opening right here is 5.5, and again it's for a little boy who likes to put toys in his pockets. So I wanted to make sure that there was enough room for his hand and the toy to get in there. Okay, and then of course we have quite a big scoop here to hold the whatever he's going to put in his pockets. Okay, and then down here, this is just the space. Just leave, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, or whatever. Because remember that if you were to draft the pocket to where it ended right here, everything would just kind of work itself out of the pocket. If you think about it, a pocket in the side of the pants has some room to hold the contents. Okay, so they don't just kind of work themselves out. Okay? Alright, so that's the pattern. I went ahead and cut it out of my material. Whoops, it has a lot of junk on it. Okay, and then what I've done is I went ahead, maybe I could zoom in would be better. There we go. Okay, I went ahead and finished this outside edge on my serger, and I finished the whole curve. Okay, now if you don't have a serger, don't stress out. You can just zigzag the edge, or you can go ahead and put them together and then come back and zigzag the seams later to finish them. It's just easier if you have a serger to do it at this point than to try to do it after you're finished, because you will have places that the serger just cannot get close enough. Okay, so if you're going to serge them, go ahead and do it at this point. Just finish off the edges so you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to do the top because remember, it's going to be in the waistband. Okay, and then I went ahead and of course when you're marking these, mark the circles. Don't forget to mark the circles, okay? And then also mark them on the other side too, because you're going to need them. So make sure that they're marked on both sides, okay? This side and then the back side, okay? And there's the pocket. All right, let me get the pants, and then I'll show you how to put them in the side seam. Okay, here we are with our pant pieces. This is the front, and this is the back, and they're both laying right side up. These are the side seam where you're going to put the actual pocket in. Okay, now what I need to figure out is how far down to put the pocket in and make enough allowance for the waistband, because this is going to have a fold over elastic waistband. Okay, so my elastic is 1 inch. Remember, you have to count for the front and the back. Okay, so my elastic is 1 inch, so I'm going to start there. I'm going to add another inch for the other side of the elastic. I leave a little bit of wiggle room, about 1/8 of an inch, so that would be 1, 2 on each side of the elastic, so your casing isn't too small. Nothing more frustrating than that, plus your elastic rolls. Okay, and then I'm going to add another 1, 2/8 for the other side. And then you only need to account for the fold over 1 time. So I'm going to add 3/8 because I'm working with denim and it's really hard to get 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So that leaves me with 2 7/8. Okay? If you're really worried about it, you could always just go to 3, but I'm going to do 2 7/8. I think it'll be plenty. Okay, so I'm going to mark my front and my back 2 7/8 down. See those marks there? Okay, now what I'm going to do is, of course, the pockets don't have a right and a wrong side. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Oh, also, just to let you know, I went ahead and finished this side seam on my serger. Like I said, if you're doing a conventional machine, you don't have to do that. You can come back and zigzag them later. But it does make it a lot easier. Then you don't have to worry about coming back to finish at all. It's already all done. So when you put the pocket in, it's all finished. That's it. Okay? Now I'm going to lay these, if you can see this. Remember, we counted 1/4 of an inch on the top here that we needed to lay into the waistband. Okay? So, I know, and you're working on the right side, okay? Not the wrong side. You're working on the right side, which just sounds a little strange, but it'll work out, I promise. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to lay this 1/4 of an inch up into the waistband past my white mark. Okay? And I'm going to match the edges, and then I'll come back and pin that in. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch, match the edges. Okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to go over to your sewing machine and you're going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Don't use the whole 5, it's just 3/8. And you're going to stitch, you're going to sew from the top of the pocket right here, 3/8 of an inch all the way down. Ignore your marks, we don't need them right now. All the way down to there and off the edge of the pocket a little bit. Okay, now make sure that you back stitch here and here, okay, because that's going to get some strain from things going in and out of the pocket. So 3/8 of an inch all the way down here like this, back stitch. Okay, so I'll do that and then I'll come back and show you the rest of it. Okay, so we've got that done, our 3/8 of an inch seam. See? Got that on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pin these together. Okay? So flap open your pockets like that. So right sides together. So you see where the seam's here. No seams there. Okay? Now we're going to pin 2 different things here. First of all, oh, my sleeve's coming down. First of all, we are going to pin this outside edge of this pocket right here. Okay? So we're just going to match the top like that. And, whoops. You don't need a ton of pins in here, really. I hardly ever really sew with pins, but this I will. That. Let's put one here. Okay. Now, when you get down here, you're going to want to push all the seams away from the pocket. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Here, let me do this. Just push all the seams away from the pocket. When you're pinning 2 seams together and you need to match them up, and you know, it's kind of hard. So what I do is I put my pin in where the seam or where the thread is. Can you see that right there? Stick it straight down through. Okay? Now flip it over. Okay, now you can see on this side, I'm a good 1/8 of an inch off of where my seam is on this side. Okay, so then what you can do is you can just pull up that first top piece of fabric. I can do this where you can see it and I can see it at the same time. And then just slide the pin over until you're where you want to be and then stick it back through. Okay, so then you're right on the seam on both sides. Then you know you've matched them up. Okay, kind of an easy trick. I'll go back and fix that one, but you want to make sure all the seams are away. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the machine. I better just show you one step at a time here instead of both. And you're going to stitch from this top all the way around the pocket, and you're going to end right at the seam allowance. Don't go past into your edges, okay, because then it'll look funny. So you just want to stop right exactly where you pinned at, where your seams are right there, come together, okay? And I just use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's just, you know, a little bit to keep it together. You don't need 5/8. It's not going to matter. So just, you know, 3/8, quarter, whatever you want to do right around here. Plus you don't want to eat up too much of your pocket room. Okay, so I'll do that and then I'll come back and show you the side seam. Okay, I got that done and we are almost finished with this project. So now the other part you need to sew to finish this pocket, because see right now you got your pockets open. Okay, so we're going to close that up, and what we're going to do, hope you can see this, we're going to match this top edge here and pin. Okay, now down here, remember you marked both sides of that little pocket with your circle? So we're going to open up the seam so you can see your circle, and I'm going to look for my little marking. There it is. Okay. If you really need to be, you know, you're trying to be exact, you can just stick a pin right through the seam allowance where your circle is and flip it, and then you can mark right on there. Okay. So do it again on this one. Now open up your seam so you can see your little mark. Stick the pin through, and then you know exactly where to mark on this side. Okay? So you're going to mark your circles. Okay. Now remember when we talked about, oh, we got to pull that out. All the seams are going to pull to the pocket now. Well, we did it the opposite way when we were doing this edge, but now we're going to pull them all to the pocket. Okay, so both seams to the pocket, folded to the pocket. And we're going to take a pin, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in at our mark right next to the thread there. Go straight through, and then check it on the other side and make any adjustments that you need. Just pull it out of the top little piece of fabric. Okay, make sure everything's all the folds all this way. Okay, and then pin over like that. Okay? Did you see that? Okay, good. Now we're going to go ahead and from the bottom mark we're going to do the same thing. Put a pin at the bottom mark, not in the middle. You don't want to sew the pocket shut. Straight down. Of course, it works better if this is flat, and I'm just doing it like this so I can show you guys, and then I'll go back and make sure that it's perfect before I go to stitch it. Okay, so then from the bottom mark, and then put a pin in down here, the bottom of the pocket, a little down the leg, just a little couple inches. Okay, so you can make sure you have it matched up. Okay, so laid flat now, so I can show you. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to run a 5/8 of an inch stitch. We only use 3 on the pocket, but now we're going to use a 5. And what that does is it makes the pocket fall into the seam just that little tiny bit, and that way if you are using a contrasting inner pocket, you don't see it. Okay, so it kind of just makes it invisible. So 5/8 of an inch. And we're going to start at the top up here, and we're going to sew to this pin, and you're going to back sew a little bit right there. Okay, then you're going to cut the thread, and you're going to start here at this mark and go ahead and sew all the way down the rest of the leg. Okay, I will do that, and then, oh, don't forget to back stitch right here too, because remember, in and out of the pocket right there, it's going to rip if you don't have it a little bit tacked. So back stitch a couple times. Okay, then all the way down the rest of the leg, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so here I am back. I sewed to the mark. Of course, it would have been this way. And then I sewed from this mark down the rest of the leg. Now, when you're going to press, you want to press your side seams open. Okay. So another good reason to finish them early, because at this point, the whole seam, pocket, everything's finished. I don't have to go back and try to get in here with a zigzag and try to make it work. Okay. So, the whole side seam is pressed open, and the pocket itself is pressed to the front of the pant. This is really super important, because when you come in with this waistband, you want to make sure that when you put this fold over waistband in like that, because it'll cover 1/4 of an inch, remember, just like that. See if I can zoom in and you can see it a little better. So when you come in and you do that part there, okay, you don't want this pocket to be going to the back, because I know it sounds like it won't be an issue, but you'll be reaching around your butt to get into your pocket. Okay, so that's my only thing, is you really need to make sure it's pressed to the front. Even if you could even put just a little tack right there to remind yourself, and make sure that when you're putting in the waistband, you don't forget that the pockets have to go to the front. Okay, so there it is, and then I'm just ready to fold over my 3/8 on the top, and then fold it over again for my casing. Cover the top of the pocket 1/4 of an inch, and then I'll sew along there. My elastic can go in, and that's the top of the waistband. So there you go, quick and easy. It's not, well, I wouldn't say quick, and it's fairly easy to do. You just have to pay attention and take it one step at a time, and you've got a pocket in the side seam pattern of a pants. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Happy sewing, have fun, and good luck.